Hey, friendos, welcome back to the Four Lights Podcast. I am, of course, Steve here, and as always, I'm joined by Big Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We got this new, you sent
We're
this.
in space.
We're in space right
We're
now.
Floating. We're in
How am I
zero
not?
G.
I'm not. So, I'm really glad that you sent this because the green screen, we're not experts on green screen. Maybe it was
We're
just,
not experts on much.
no, Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah.
But green screen, no. Because that last episode, no, was the last episode? No, I think there's one episode between this one. Yeah, that last episode might be a pain in the butt, too. The green screen is all over the place. It was great. But I kind of liking it. The reason why I was, usually I'm like a big control freak over that kind of stuff. And I'd be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I kind of like it because just like the first episodes of Next Generation, first couple episodes, while the quality is there, maybe there's still some rough edges to get around.
Well, it's like anything, you got to find your footing. You know?
Exactly, yeah. And I think this is a great first step for our footing.
This is a great next step.
Yeah.
We'll keep this for the show every time we shoot up north.
Yeah, what I might do is put this in the back room next to the pile of cardboard and donut boxes.
Great.
And then just put some start loaded up with some Star Trek stuff on it.
Yeah.
And maybe some, how about this? How about some fan art?
Fan art, yeah, that'd be
if
great.
any of the people out there watching or listening to this, which by the way, it is now available on iOS, on the podcast apps, you can get this. If anybody's out there watching this or listening to this, you want to send some stuff that we'll put up in space, we'll have it. It's a shame we can't have it floating, because that's what happens in space. You just float and die, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyways, send it to, it's P.O. Box. I'll put it in the description. P.O. Box 1814, Orangevale, California 95662. We'll either put it up here or we'll put it on the LA set.
Yeah.
I'm going to come down there in a couple weeks.
Great.
And we'll hammer out a shit ton of episodes.
Cool. Yeah,
It'd be good.
We'll do a weekend.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I got a thing that we're gonna do for the LA set, and that will definitely accommodate fan art as well. So.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right on. We'll do that. Today we're going to talk about The Last Outpost. Now, I had watched this prior to us getting together last time. It's been a couple months now. And but I wrote extensive notes. I hope I can remember the majority.
I'll come back to you.
My memory is so bad.
Well, we're getting old, buddy.
It is so bad.
Sure.
I watched the next, because we're going to try to squeeze in 3 episodes in this session today, and I'm perfect to go on the other ones. Yeah. This one, I remember Ferengi. I remember that much. I remember that dude with the really bad makeup. Mm-hmm. This is The Last Outpost. The gist of this episode, and it was a cheesy episode.
It's a little cheesy.
It
is the introduction to the Ferengi on screen. They were previously mentioned and implied by in an episode or two in the series leading up to this.
It's fairly obvious that they had big plans for the Ferengi. Yeah. I think much bigger than ended up panning out, because they ended up being a big joke.
Partially. There's definitely there's Ferengi later on in the series and in Star Trek continuity that I think are really great characters.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Quark is great. Quark's entire family is they're really great. There's actually some really, really great character pieces in Deep Space Nine. As sort of a new threat to the Federation, it kind of ended up falling flat. And I think this introduction didn't help matters at all. Because they came across as just, I don't know, not just a pest, a pest.
Very, just annoying.
Very
much an annoyance.
Right, exactly.
Well, it's weird that they, earlier in the series, an episode or two before, I think when they first mentioned it in the Next Gen, Picard refers to them as flesh eaters.
That's right.
Doesn't really ever come up again later in the series, to my recollection. But
cannibalism doesn't end up actually being part of their lore, sadly. I think that would have added.
But there's a lot of sort of unknowns about the Ferengi, and this being their first introduction, it's not a great introduction. I actually like the Ferengi. I like a lot of things about the Ferengi. Mm-hmm. They're interesting characters, and they do eventually become great fodder, great comedic fodder.
Yeah.
But as far as being a threat, no, not so much.
Yeah. But it's funny because notice in this episode, and then when I watched There's two things that I'm kind of noticing now. They mentioned cannibalism here, and then in one of the other episodes we're going to review today, with the lizard people, there's the Antikins, and then like the lizard people. I forget what their name was. The celiac. No, not celiac. Something like that. Anyways, they end up being cannibalistic as well.
Yeah.
Kill my desktop audio. There we go. They end up being cannibalistic as well. So somebody had a cannibalism fetish evidently early on. Because the Ferengi originally we heard cannibalistic sort of undertones were going to happen there, but we never saw them.
No.
Anyways, this episode, the last Outpost starts off. The intro is the Enterprise is chasing a Ferengi ship because apparently they stole some shit, and the crew is already horribly like anti-Ferengi.
Yes.
There's not a lot of open minds here for a race of aliens that all they know about are like rumors. Everybody's super anti-Ferengi already.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
Also, Starfleet is supposed to Starfleet officers are supposed to be very open-minded and accepting.
Right, yeah.
And they're just like largely straight up racist to Ferengis.
Right, exactly.
Like the whole flesh-eating thing when they I don't know, there's no basis for
What's
that.
the
That's
basis for
never
that? Yeah.
justified later in the show.
Right, exactly.
So
I feel like some of the Starfleet publications might have like some, anti-Ferengi propaganda.
Yeah.
Like some nasty political cartoons.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyways, the Ferengis seemingly fired some sort of energy shit at the Enterprise. And then again, the Ferengi ship comes around to face the Enterprise. And then they realize that that energy stuff is dragging the Enterprise closer. And then
it was like a tractor beam.
It was like a tractor beam. And then the power systems on the ship become immobilized.
Yes.
So they're trapped, seemingly, by the Ferengi.
Yeah.
And so that, the Ferengi, wow, a threat.
Yes, that is the extent of the Ferengi threat. At their introduction, I will say this: the Ferengi ship is known as a Decorah class Marauder. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of my favorite ship designs.
It's a good looking ship.
It's really cool. It's a really sleek ship.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a Ferengi face.
Yeah.
Which I've always thought is a really cool sort of a continuity that they had in design. I don't know if it happened, if it was just a happy accident, or if the people who worked on the ship design talked to the makeup people in TNG and they actually worked it out.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a really cool thing. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to move this a little closer.
Oh, sorry.
I know this is the first time you're on the set. No, it's okay. Hold on, let me do this real quick. There we go. I changed the color. We call these the bell ends. Mm-hmm. I changed the color of them so that people don't know. Everybody's recognize the pub table from going in wrong.
No, we changed a different pub table. It's actually the exact same pub table. We had to go around all of Sacramento to find the exact same one.
Exactly.
But it's a different.
It's a different one. Yeah. No.
Going around pub table is right over there. This is a totally
and the set is not directly behind here.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways. We come back from the intro. The ship is a hot mess. Picard sends Geordi to engineering to get some info. Data then proceeds to offer up some more rumors about the Ferengi, and he likens them to Yankee traders. Mm-hmm. They start then talking about Earth culture. Picard sent because Geordi isn't back fast enough. Picard then sends Riker down to get some info. Picard starts talking about France again. This is one of the few times early in the season when Picard gets a real hard-on for all things French.
Yeah.
He's got a real France fetish. It's not really revisited too much.
It's not. I mean, they sort of drop it in the context of the show in general. Mm-hmm. I mean, it comes back once in a while. But yeah, I mean, this episode, they're still really clinging to that whole Picard loves his French heritage thing.
Right,
They actually have, when the ship craps out, they actually have Picard say shit in French. He says merde, which I always thought was a cute thing.
Wait,
he never does that again. Yeah, I wrote it down.
That's actually true?
Yeah, he says merde. Yeah, which means shit in French.
I did not hear that. That's hilarious. Oh, man, that's great. That's hilarious. Man. So anyways, Riker, we get Riker down on engineering with Geordi, because it takes more than like 5 minutes to figure out what's going on. Riker has an idea, and it's simply, let's just warp out of here. He's like, let's just go straight to warp. And Geordi gets really, really excited about that. He goes, oh, yeah, we'll do this. And then, yeah! He gets all weird about it. And then you hear Riker off camera say, give me everything you got, LaForge.
Yes.
It's a very Will Ferrell Anchorman moment where he just like yells something. Don't act like you're not impressed.
Yeah.
Give me everything you got, LaForge.
Yeah, like they clearly added that in post.
It was the most ADR thing, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, this really needs more punctuation. I don't think people realize how excited these guys are with this very simplistic idea that could probably rip apart the ship.
Yeah.
And again, was the chief engineer, was the chief engineer mentioned here?
The first several episodes of the first season, they have a sort of a floating cast that they sometimes refer to as chief engineer, and sometimes it's like a head engineer.
In the next episode, they introduce Argyle as one of the chief engineers. Yeah. So the previous chief engineer was Engineer Useless, was Commander Useless, that lady that they had.
They never really brought her back.
You would think that she would be the one down an engineer arranging this plan, like given the go-ahead, but no, it's just Riker and LaForge. So anyways, okay, here we go. So Picard then hails the Ferengi, tries some diplomacy, says, hey, give us the stuff back that you stole. That's not cool.
Ferengi stole a T9 energy converter.
I just feel like that's something they could replicate. Like, what does it matter if somebody steals something?
And how complicated can an energy converter be? Like,
exactly. Is it that big of a deal?
Yeah.
Was it? Did they mention again? I forget. Did they mention? Was it like a Federation? Like, did they steal it from a Federation?
Yeah, they must have.
Yeah. Replicate another one. Like, you don't want for anything anymore.
Sure. Like, who knows what the Ferengi are going to do to that energy converter? They could be sabotaging it. Why would you want it back?
Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, I guess maybe that's the point. Maybe they don't want their technology getting into the hands of somebody else. Maybe that's the point. So that could be. But yeah, you're right. Like, if they get it back, they'll probably just have to scrap it anyways. They try the big, let's go into warp plan. Yeah. They try the big plan, and surprise, surprise, it doesn't work. Data then notices that their computers are being scanned by something. Troy, oddly enough, MVP of the moment, says, hey, we're not even paying attention to the fact there's a planet that we're both orbiting. Maybe something's going on there. Meanwhile, Worf and Tasha Yar simply just want to shoot at the Ferengi ship, which I don't think is a terrible idea at this point. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. You steal something, you should probably get shot at. Troy then says, no, we need to talk to them. We need to be diplomatic. Picard hails the Ferengi, and instead of being really annoyed, he calms down and says, what do you guys want? What do you guys want? Yar wants to shoot them. The Ferengi respond. We get Damon Tar. And his view screen is kind of interesting. I don't know if this is done for a budget because they didn't want to build a Ferengi bridge.
The first couple times, I think, maybe throughout the series, anytime they pull up a Ferengi on a view screen, everything behind them is just white.
It's just pure white. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that comedy episode when Riker and Troy's mom get kidnapped by the Ferengis because one of them wants to marry Troy's mom, I feel like there's maybe some view screen there that wasn't with the white.
They actually go on a Ferengi ship on that one, right? I
believe so. Yeah. I don't know, but it's definitely sort of a early season thing. Yeah, it gives it a different look.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the Ferengi. So Damon Tar says unconditional surrender is off the table. And Picard is like, oh, okay. And he just sort of tells him to cut. And he's like, we're the samesies.
Yeah.
We're in the same
situation.
situation.
Picard realizes that the Ferengi ship is also disabled, and they don't know where it's coming from.
Exactly, yeah.
They think that it's coming from the Enterprise. And at that point, Picard's like, oh, there's something else that's disabled both of our ships.
Right, exactly.
That's why he's the captain. He's very smart.
He's smart, unlike so many other people on the ship.
I think, Riker's still totally clouded in a fog of what's going on, I'm sure. Right. Even after Picard says that, Riker's just like, we're going to shoot him, right? Let's shoot him.
yeah.
And Yar and Worf, let's just shoot him.
Yeah, half the people just want to shoot them. Now, I took note of this. This actually made me laugh because I like that you bring up Riker here because this is actually a really good point about drunken Riker from the previous episode or from 2 episodes ago. Somebody brought this up, and it's actually very, very way cooler at Real Crusher 1234 said, Riker seemed like the kind of drunk that could land a commercial airliner if he had to.
True.
That's actually a really good point
Yes.
because throughout the whole drunken episode, he was drunk.
Yeah.
Totally with it. Completely with it.
Riker seems like a guy who drinks a fair amount. And actually, I mean, within the next gen continuity, they don't really drink alcohol. They have
Yeah.
something called synthahol.
Yeah.
Which, I haven't looked it up recently, but I think it's like sort of produces similar effects without the negative effects. It
Yeah.
gives sort of an elation and a happiness, but not like probably I'm assuming doesn't really screw up your liver,
Yeah.
doesn't dehydrate you. You know, like they figured that thing out.
Yeah,
but there's still
yeah.
times when they drink actual alcohol in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Usually
Yeah.
it's Romulan ale. Oftentimes it's some people have some-
Cardassians had Kanar.
Kanar.
And there was a great storyline in Deep Space Nine with Dumar.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Scotty, Guinan kept a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah, they'll
in
have
10 forward.
occasionally they'll have actual whiskey, scotch, which is always fun.
Let's see here. So they realize they're in the same boat as the Ferengi. The Ferengi then want to look at the view screen. They said, none of this audio stuff. We want to look at your view screen. And they just start talking shit about humans, saying that we're ugly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get, look, fair play given how racist the Federation people have been
Sure.
about Ferengis, it's.
Well, I mean, we look a lot. The Ferengi as a race look a lot different than humans.
Yeah.
They have probably the worst teeth of any
Yeah, that's true.
alien race in Star Trek.
Like it's them and Klingons kind of in the
Yeah.
same. Because besides Worf has decent teeth, but like a lot of the Klingons had nasty teeth.
Worf, I mean, Michael Dorn only ever wore uppers. I don't think he had lowers.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
And it's interesting too because I listened to an audiobook that was performed by Michael Dorn, and that his characterizations of Worf obviously were spot on, but the voice was slightly different because he didn't have the fake teeth.
Oh, that's
Just a
interesting.
little different.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I could see that. So, anyways, the Ferengi offered to give the stolen shit back, and on top of that, they say not only are we willing to give up the stolen stuff, we're gonna let you guys kill our second officer. That is heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like freaking olden times kind of shit. Like, hey, sorry we stole this. Here, kill this guy.
So the Ferengi are supposedly good negotiators. But that's a weird thing to offer without just as a blanket first offering sorry we stole this, kill this guy.
Yeah.
Kill our second. It'd be like the Enterprise is like we screwed up a little bit. Kill Riker.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what it'd be like.
It's a bit much.
No, you're right in that they're supposed to be adept. You're right. They're supposed to be adept at making deals.
Yeah.
And they're just offering everything immediately.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot.
Yeah,
put
that
out
is
there.
well. Maybe to them, life is just that expensive. Maybe they're like,
maybe-
usually we'd offer up, all the children on our ship
Sure.
to do it, but now we're just doing this guy. Maybe that's a drop in the bucket for them. I don't know.
Damon Tarr is just tired of his first officer. Just want to get rid of him.
That could actually be it. He's like, wait, what'd you say? That's not part of our deal. We don't usually do that. He is annoying to me. He chews too loud. But and here's the funny thing too about Ferengi. So like later on we mentioned, not only throughout Next Generation, but also in Deep Space Nine, the extreme nature of their race is dialed way back.
Yes.
Like they play the nudity for women thing for comedic effect, but like you never hear about anybody offering up human sacrifice or Ferengi sacrifices
Yeah.
to that point.
They still they've only ever really make mention of how within the Ferengi society, women are supposed to be naked all the time.
Yeah.
They make mention of that throughout the show and then occasionally throughout DS9.
Yeah.
But they eventually show Ferengi female and they have clothes on.
Yeah, they do. They do. And they're in positions of power as
Yeah.
well. Like in terms of, obviously, I'm not sure about governmentally speaking, but in terms of like ownership of property and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure women have had positions of power, which obviously in a Ferengi society would be probably, top of the totem pole in terms of power structure.
Sure.
So anyways, yeah. Then we're in the conference room. So Picard said we're gonna think it over. We're gonna go to the conference room. For some reason, there's a bunch of kids in there. Riker freaks out and shoos them away because he knows that Picard will launch him out of an air hatch or something.
Mm-hmm.
Data somehow got his hands on a Chinese finger trap.
Little wicker toy.
Yeah.
The kids have.
Can I not say Chinese finger trap anymore?
I think that's
what it's called, right?
Chinese finger trap.
You never know these days.
It originated in China.
Yeah, I would think so. I've never heard that that's a bad thing to say, but you just never know these days. I don't know. Anyways, so he's trying to get out of that.
Yeah, for a very sophisticated android to be perplexed by this thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get my fingers out of this child's toy?
Yeah.
It's silly.
You would think that he
But
would
it's sort of a fun comedic moment.
No, it's a great little moment. There's a couple of moments like in this episode and the next one, like when he was doing the Sherlock Holmes stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's a bit much.
Yes.
But it doesn't make it less charming. It's
There's
still
also
funny.
this is still the first couple episodes of the first season, and
yeah.
they're still trying to figure out what the characters are.
It is so funny. I was thinking about this. I was at the gym watching one of these episodes, and with how melodramatic, especially Troy. Like Riker is kind of laid back. Like Riker is kind of Riker, and he's fairly consistent from episode 1 through the end.
True.
Picard kind of the same. Data's a bit goofy. Troy starts out super melodramatic. Like most of her lines are read really dramatically. And then by the end, she's like one of the most chill people on the ships.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an interesting transformation to see. But it's also kind of unusual. And most of the actors and most of the characters are fairly well, like already realized early on. It's just Troy sort of took a little bit of time to be the Troy that we, sort of grew to know.
Yeah, the growth on Troy is actually kind of impressive. And the funny thing is, later on, when the character of her mother is introduced, her mother as a character is like one of the most melodramatic characters in the history of the entire show.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So it's kind of funny. Like, I don't know if they planned that beforehand, but to have Troy come in and be melodramatic and then spend more and more time away from her mother shows a sort of a great deal of growth.
Yeah,
Like, she's
yeah.
actually learning to be.
I wonder. I do kind of wonder if that was part of a thing. Anyways, they're in the conference room. Data, after I don't know, I think he got out of the Chinese. I think somebody got him out of it. Data discovers that the planet down below used to be part of a vast empire that is now long dead. I actually really like the idea. Like the central idea around that whole thing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
At that point, Data gets stuck in the finger trap. Picard helps him out. Data continues on about the planet, how is possibly an outpost. The civilization, however, died out thanks to their sun going supernova. At that point, Picard hails the Ferengi again. Immediately, the Ferengi start harping on how ugly the humans are. Picard proposes a trade of information, sort of showing his hand as well, saying, hey, we're in the same boat.
Sure.
I want to figure this out. They both agree to send a team to the surface. Riker and Data and Troy all kind of think that the Ferengi is being they're not playing their full hand. They're being on the shady side. They're not being completely honest. Riker asks Worf to come down for some additional backup. They beam down. Riker beams down first. There's nobody there, and he's like, "Anybody?" In a very he goes to a cliff.
Yeah,
and he's like, because he says, Data, Geordi, anybody? And it's all very ridiculous, but it's so Riker. Anyways, he finds Data. They go looking for Geordi, who they find hanging upside down in a tree. Somehow he materialized that way. They ask him if he's conscious. He says incredulously, do I look conscious? So I guess the answer is yes. Then the Ferengi show up, and they've got some blue energy whips.
The blue energy whip is a Ferengi weapon that's not really used much after the first season, I don't think.
I wonder if it's a big pain. That was probably a big pain in the ass to animate. I wonder if
I would
that's
imagine
why.
so. I mean, it's sort of like a lightsaber, but a whip.
Yeah, it's a flaccid lightsaber.
It's a flaccid lightsaber.
that shoots bolts.
So yeah, I think that would probably be pretty hard to It'd be easier now, but with late 80s technology, that'd be a real challenge.
They might have had to do it frame by frame.
Yeah,
by
that'd be
hand,
crazy.
maybe. Yeah. So that's probably why they didn't bring it back. But
It was a cool weapon, actually. I remember
it was
the
neat.
toys, Playmates action figures. The Ferengi action figure came with a blue.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. So anyways, where are we here? So Riker, Geordi, and Data and Worf are all laid out. I guess they all got stunned by that or whatever.
They get stung by the blue whip, right?
Okay, yeah, I guess so. Because I'm saying we're coming back from
And
commercial right now.
Yara's down there, right?
Yar hasn't showed up yet.
No, she hasn't.
One of the Ferengi, I think we come back from commercial. One of the Ferengi is stealing a communicator pin. He's like, I'm going to take this. Worf wakes up. They start fighting. The Ferengi get the upper hand and are apparently about to do something pretty violent to the crew. That's when Tasha Yar shows up. The Ferengi start immediately freaking out over Yar because they're like, ooh, you are clothed.
This is another one of these Ferengi things where they're so fascinated that they let their women wear clothes.
Right.
Which is just weird.
Yeah, they completely drop their guard just to do this. And they're all like hunched over and they're like doing the nasty hands like, ooh, look at what you do. And they're always like, one arm's always up here. Look at what you do with your women. That's actually a really good impression.
Yeah, no, the physicality of most actors playing Ferengis is always, it's, at least in the initial stages, is kind of weird. Like they just sort of let the people go, go nuts, put your arms over where they're not usually going to be.
Yeah.
Usually like a Star Trek alien is very humanoid and presents and walks in a very human fashion, just like shoulders upright,
Yeah.
walking around like a normal person.
Ferengis
initially are weird and like bent over and hunched over and like squatting.
It's
it's strange
amalgam of like monkeys and like Quasimodo.
Yeah.
Like a hunchback. Oh, you are clothed. They talk like that. Anyways, back on the ship, it's a mess. Crusher, this was dark. She said she was thinking of putting Wes down to sleep. Because like the
life support is failing because the energy is being drained from the planet ostensibly.
They're like she's already talking. Like I mean I wonder like I mean I know there's like 1,100 people on this ship or whatever, but you'd figure that they could I don't know put some people in cryostasis or some shit. I don't know.
It seems like they would have that option.
I would think so.
Imagine.
I mean like set it up in the cargo bay or something like get somebody on that. But Crusher was talking about putting Wes down like almost immediately. Picard said, no, he should be awake when he dies. That's a dark conversation to have.
It's a really dark conversation for early on in the series.
It really is. Back on the surface, they're all trying to shoot at each other. But there's these big crystal structures that are sucking all the energy from all the weapons, phasers and the blue whip things. Geordi, through his visor, I think, says the planet, it's like a huge energy conduit thing. And then, out of nowhere, a giant weird ghost face shows up and says, who meets the challenge? And there's like lightning and stuff, and the Ferengi are like, oh, they don't like the lightning because their ears are all big and stuff.
The planet projects a face, and the face elicits a challenge and refers to an empire.
Yeah. Funny thing too. One of the Ferengi, we didn't mention this. One of the Ferengis is Armin Shimmerman, who played Quark later on.
Correct.
So
he was one of the first Ferengis, and then he went on to be the best Ferengi.
Yeah. He volunteers Riker for the challenge. He shall do it. The planet guy, has he materialized as a real person at this point? I think maybe. I don't know. I think he has. Anyways, he materializes and he says, who wants to petition to enter their empire? Data starts schooling the guy about their dead empire. He's like, actually, no, you're not in the age of whatever. That was like a lot of ages ago. There's been many ages since then. And he starts listing them off. And the guy's like, oh, stop talking right now. And so he gets pissed off about that. Riker speculates that this guy has been asleep somehow. He's been in some sort of, catatonic state or whatever. The Ferengi then throw the crew under the bus. They claim the Enterprise came to loot the Empire. They keep talking crap. Then they turn to Yar. They're like, they clothe their women.
Yeah.
They use gold for, their communicators or whatever. And then Tasha Yar, of course, hothead, starts talking crap back at the Ferengi. Riker goes into diplomatic Riker mode, says, look, we're not perfect. The portal guy offers up some sort of challenge. Worf really wants to fight.
Yeah, Worf is horny to fight, as per usual.
Yeah, that's a theme that never ends. The portal guy offers up some riddle of some sort.
Well, the portal guy has scanned Riker's thoughts. Mm-hmm. Riker had thoughts. And the portal says that he wants to know more about Sun Tzu, ancient Chinese philosopher.
Okay, yeah.
And then portal asks, portal issues a challenge.
Yeah. At one point, that the portal guy, when he materializes, he has like a big like staff axe thing. Correct. And they do the undercranking thing, so he's like a Benny Hill fast motion. He's like doing all these axe moves, and it's all like obviously like, you know, he's doing it probably as slow as you or I would do it.
Yes,
because he don't want to get hurt by this thing. And then like he does it, so that's like sort of cheesy.
He's a little cheesy.
He's really not that threatening.
No,
he really is.
Like weird. You got to figure the planet could sort of operate any way it wants to. Mm-hmm. It's weird that they chose to manifest a middle-aged guy in multicolored cloaks with a staff.
Why wouldn't they have gotten a guy who was age appropriate? Like not thousands of years old, obviously, but an actor. Instead of having an actor who was probably in his 30s and then put a bunch of really terrible old man makeup on him, why didn't they get like a Brian Cox or something?
Sure.
And they get like a cool, like an older actor to do this role instead of putting on like, what a time suck that would be.
Yeah.
Okay, we got you 30 years, you know, you're 35 years old, but we're going to make you look like you're 70 and we're going to put a bunch of makeup on you. Why don't you hire a 7-year-old actor? Can you just sit down in the chair, please, so we can put this makeup on you? Anyways, you're getting a paycheck. So, Riker spits, some Sun Tzu at the portal guy, which is he's very interested by. Riker then convinces him to restore power to the Enterprise. Good job, Riker. Everybody's on the verge of dying, and power's restored, so they're good. Portal guy and Riker then chat a little bit. The Ferengi just can't stop digging themselves into this hole. Yeah. They just keep on saying thing after thing that just makes them look like assholes. Riker, knowing sort of what game is being played, says they deserve mercy because otherwise they're never going to learn. Then Riker asks him, he's like, what are you going to do for you? And he says, the universe exists for me to create life. I'm going to go sleep a bit.
Yeah.
Essentially,
I'm going to sleep until I'm needed again. It's like, well, I mean, shouldn't you just be doing something? Why doesn't the universe always need you if you have that much power?
Right. He's like, oh, I'm going to go sleep again. You guys have sort of bugged me. It's not time for my show.
Well, yeah, also, like, his planet just sucked up a bunch of energy from 2 huge ships and a bunch of entities and stuff. You'd think he'd want to go do something. It's like having... Like, I think it just, you know, this planet has some, the equivalent of blood sugar issues. Like, he just had a huge meal. And he's not digesting it properly. He's just like, now he's like, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to go sleep for a couple thousand years.
Right. Oh, I know. Like, he's going to wait until more people happen upon another 2 warring ships happen upon the planet.
Yeah, I think it was a missed opportunity of the Riker. He should have just been like, well, Porto, what do you do?
He's like, look, bro, I got my ship taken care of.
I'm going to do my thing. Yeah, that's what Riker says. And Portal's like, I'm going to do my thing. Your ship can go on its way. I'm ready for a nap.
Look, Lethal Weapon's about to come on TV right now. I'm going to go watch that. I'm pretty sure it's censored, but I'm cool with that. Whatever. Anyways, they shake hands because evidently the aliens know about shaking hands. Why didn't when like a human extends his hand like this, the alien's like, what are you doing? Are you attacking me? Anyways, Data and Geordi both come around. I guess they're both on the ship now. Riker and Data both have the finger traps. And then Riker, being the nefarious troll he is, wants to send over a box of finger traps to the Ferengi.
Yes.
And Picard isn't like, no, what? That's horribly, that's not even, why would you suggest that? That's the most dickish thing to do. We're supposed to be professionals here, but he says, make it so, go ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. And then Geordi has one on his fingers, and then Data has to reach over and hit the button to make the ship go. And that's how we end. So it was cheesy. It's like I like later on in the series when all the characters are sort of well developed and well rounded. You know, the comedy comes from the characters and their personalities in a natural, organic way. They're not there yet, so they have to introduce Chinese finger traps, and then later on, Data acting like an asshole, like Sherlock Holmes with a pipe somehow. But I mean, the episode was what it was. It was still fine. It was still trying to build the world that it was building.
Correct. And they wanted to introduce new races, and
I
did
think
that with the Ferengi.
They're memorable. It's
sure.
it's a memorable race. It's a very distinct. I do like that. You know, I like that the Ferengi ended up. They were able to eventually mine some really good stuff. Even I don't know if it's this season or the next season. I think it's only a couple episodes after this. The one where they whip out Picard's old ship, the Stargazer.
Stargazer, that's 2-3 episodes away.
That's a decent episode.
That's a pretty good episode.
Yeah, that's a pretty good episode. And the Ferengi, you know, they were trying to make them a threat in some new and inventive ways. Not necessarily, hey, you know, like we're Klingons, we can overpower you and we can outfight you. Or, you know, like the Romulans, hey, we're smarter than you. They were trying a different route with the Ferengi. They tried a couple different angles, and they didn't always succeed, but they did succeed in creating a race that instantly was recognizable, was fairly well developed in terms of like what angle they're approaching with them. So in that regard, they did do, I thought it was a decent first step in introducing them, just not maybe to the degree that they wanted them to be a new threat to the Federation, because immediately they were just kind of, you know, they hired a bunch of shorter actors to play them, and on top of that they were doing this stuff, so they were just more creeps than anything. But no, it was
it's not a bad episode.
Yeah, it's not a bad episode.
Could have been worse.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as the 2 episodes after this. I really did not like. What was the one with the energy beam that took over everybody? And Picard, and then he beamed back into the teleporter.
Yeah, that's
a couple episodes. That's a terrible one. That's not good.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Anyways, that's it for this episode of the Four Lights Podcast. If you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments below. We're doing this chronologically, so if there are any episodes coming up within the next, like this season, just let us know. If you have questions, what are they? Leave them in the comments or hit us up on the Twitter at MFSteve here. I think it's Jeff
Actual.
Jeff Actual. They'll put them down here. They'll be in the description. You guys can check them out. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.